Today in the episode, Mad Lab. Let's turn your vehicle into a turret. Voice of the Wasteland, where we answer your questions and choose the craft of the episode. And we begin with Workshop, a world serpent for your car. There's a saying in the wastes, you can't have too much of a good thing. And you know what? Fire starters wholeheartedly agree. Their official motto is, fire, more fire everywhere. And they never miss a chance to add more fire to the mix. A good example of this design philosophy is the Jormungand. On the one hand, a shotgun is a shotgun. On the other, by adding a bit of heat to the trusted formula, you get a very devastating combination of shots. We both make the target more vulnerable to damage and deal said damage, but only if we're good at landing our shots. The trick is to hit the enemy with at least half of our pellets. This mechanic has a pretty interesting application that might not be immediately apparent. You can store a fire shot. Try it. You can hold on to it for as long as you want, which won't be too long anyways, as there is always a lot of enemies around in the wastes just waiting for us to come and light them on fire. At the same time, the unique mechanics of the gun can actually make it harder to use it to its full potential, damage-wise. A message to fire starters. We're not saying that its damage output is bad. Please stop throwing stones and Molotovs at our vehicle, thank you. On the contrary, in fact. It's often a waste to heat up parts that'd be completely destroyed by our regular blast anyways. Because of that, users of the Jormungand should prioritize targets and parts that can take an actual beating. Or at least attack enemies that haven't had the honor of being damaged by your team yet. The reload speed of the gun is pretty decent, especially given that it's a single-shot weapon. No overheating to worry about, and you can turn it up to 11 with a variety of tools at your disposal. Durability? Not as many points as we'd like it to have. After all, this is a weapon for very close encounters. Remember, though, that we now have access to averters, and even a special cab with the built-in repair functionality. So, as part of a good build, this World Serpent should be able to take quite a lot of punishment. When it comes to accuracy, well, it's on par with most other weapons of the class. It's certainly a good idea to buff it up a little by installing the Torero cabin, or by using a fast chassis, painted bright red from top to bottom. If you know, you know. All in all, the Jormungand is a pretty sick gun. A perfect choice if you want to organize a series of localized Ragnaroks for all the people that are too weak in their faith in Odegon to embrace the flames. And after the Ragnarok, a short commercial break.
The more high-tech the car, the more the Ravagers want it. Don't play into the hands of the enemy. Say no to lasers and hovers today. This ad is brought to you by the Lunatics Against Progress, our society.
We were pretty surprised when Jacob from our production team, famously scrapless for most of his life, got himself a shiny new car. We were somewhat less surprised when we realized that in order to do that, he literally sold the movement parts of all of our cars. And not just wheels, oh no, even meat grinders. How were you even able to do that in a single night, you shameless lump of hydrolines? Anyway, this Mad Lab is specifically for Jacob. He was given a unique opportunity to go into battle on a vehicle without any movement parts. Let's see how it goes. Actually, building a turret-type vehicle isn't such an insane idea, especially if you and one of your mates have a couple of Contact 2Ms lying around. Today, though, we're talking about a vehicle for Jacob, so there'll be no engineering finesse or polish to this build at all. Just a turret doing turret things. Still, even with this approach, there are some upsides to be found. No movement parts means that we get a lower power score, and that means we can get better armor or better guns, and still stay in the power score bracket of our choice. Let's start with the guns. There's literally no reason to hold back in this department. If we're going to build it as a turret, at the very least, it should have good firepower. Or bring something that'll make the lives of our enemies considerably more difficult. After some deliberation, we've decided to go with explosive barrels. Why? Well, they don't require much aiming, with our opponents doing most of the job. And most importantly, they deal a lot of damage. It's also worth noting that no movement parts or car doors welded shut are going to prevent Jacob from moving around the battlefield, at least not completely. Because we always have teammates. and they come with fully functioning cars. We hope they do. Obviously, we can't rely on a slight chance that there's something willing to push the turret around, so we equip the vehicle with a harpoon. If you decide to follow in Jacob's footsteps, keep in mind though that for many survivors, hauling a few tons of metal around isn't exactly their idea of fun. It's very likely they'll unhook the cable almost immediately, leaving the turret and all of your hopes and dreams in the dust. Can't blame them really. We also don't really know why we still keep Jacob around. Our game plan's pretty simple. Shoot at everyone we can. As a turret can't move on its own, a vehicle of this type automatically misses a huge chunk of possible earnings from the match, so we should use every chance to deal damage that we can get. And you know what? Sometimes it even works, especially if you've got a patient squad mate who's ready to drag you places. Is it worth it? If you want to mix it up a little, punish Jacob, or test the strength of your friendship, then yeah, go for it. In all other cases, probably not. Our final verdict for this experiment? 5 lost frags out of 10. The first message for today was sent by Meat Slinky. Would y'all ever consider adding frost and ice damaging weapons like an icicle launcher or a dry ice blower that would act like a flamethrower? Greetings, Survivor. In fact, we even made several prototypes, but they definitely require a lot more work, so don't expect freezing weapons to drop anytime soon. We'll tell you how it goes. Frostbite R, who's one of our regulars, says,
So, with the Syndicate update, we got an improvement towards the meat grinders. But even after various buffs, it's still getting worse with the melee hitbox changes. Could we possibly get more love to this crazy movement part instead of accidental bonking?
Hey man, we hear you. Right now it's not on the top of our list of priorities as we're busy developing other parts of the game, but it is on the list and we'll definitely get back to meat grinders in a bit. Screw-propelled vehicles are amazing. A survivor known as Vasil Zhekov writes,
Yo, can you implement an option to reorganize the blueprints? For example, drag and drop?
Hi Vasil, let's put it this way. We're considering a major overhaul of the blueprint system. We'll keep you posted. Finally, there's this question by Buttercat.
Greetings, invisible reporters of the wastelands. Will we be getting any new CKs for cabins soon? And now that I've got your attention, is there going to be a CK for the Spark 3?
The word on the street is that you might get what you wish for much sooner than expected. Don't tell anyone though, it's a secret. And now it's the final part of the show where we make a visit to the exhibition to find a nice ride or a cool range. What do we have here today? A sideways vehicle that is not a hover and with incinerators to boot. Oh my, can we have 2? Really though, this is a sick ride for people that are in the business of sharing warmth. It also has a pretty name, White Wraith. And that's always a plus. No line, good job. And that's it for today. Tell us what you think in the comments below, ask us questions, and after we get Jacob out of his wreck of a car, we'll return with new crazy content in a couple of weeks. If you like what we're doing, consider subscribing, leave a like, and good luck.